All right, let's go to the phone right now and bring in Jonah Keri, great baseball writer for Grantland.com. He happens to live in the Denver area as well and has been following these playoffs closely.
I thought all the Grantland people were like entrenched in some town somewhere in like the Middle West or something, and they just sat around a table discussing.
And said pithy things to one another?
Yeah, because there was the Algonquin round table in New York, and I don't know whether I should tell Jonah about that sometime.
At the Algonquin Hotel.
Yeah.
Hey, Jonah, you with us?
I am.
Beautiful.
I'm enjoying these conspiracy theories about Grantland, by the way.
Welcome to the show, and let me ask you, where did that one last night, the Toronto-Texas game, rank on the crazy meter for you?
Oh, it's way up there. I think the standard bearer is still, even more than the Buckner game might be Game 6 of the 2011 World Series. That Cardinals-Rangers thing and just how that went down, and the fact that if Nelson Cruz wasn't Nelson Cruz, if he's got a competent right fielder, that game is over. Freese ends up tying the game on the triple and winning it in extra innings. Our old pal Benjamin Hockman, I'm sure, can write many sonnets about that game. But that one is way up there. But just in terms of the unlikely events, not even so much the drama, and certainly there was drama, but the fact that the ball hit the bat and that it was basically Russ Martin throwing the ball back to the pitcher, Chu's standing there, the ball hits the bat, the go-ahead run scores. I had never seen anything like that, and all the players in the game said they hadn't. The manager said he hadn't. Just it was something that we've never seen before in baseball history, and that's the beauty of baseball, that we're on, 150 years or whatever of the sport, and it can still surprise us, and at the absolute most pivotal moment, too.
That is incredible. I've seen a catcher throw it back to the pitcher with nobody on base and hit a player who's kind of put his arm out but you've never seen it where it was so pivotal, and that it was where the umpire really doesn't get what's going on, and that sort of set the tone, Jonah, for everything that followed it. Do you think if that had, we'll never know, but do you think that just kind of put the game in odd ways with the Earth's rotation or something? Because, I mean, everything that could go wrong did go wrong or did go right after that.
Yeah, as a Grantland guy, I'm sure you'll not be surprised to learn that I don't believe in superstition or kismet or karma or possibly God or anything. It's one of those things where, I'm a numbers guy, and I just look at it and I say, the Rangers did make 3 errors the next inning. It's possible that they were rattled by all the delays and stuff like that. I certainly think that's part of it, but I don't think the universe said, oh, I guess we better pay one back to the Blue Jays. I did tweet at the time when the play happened that there's probably going to be 3 more runs scored in this game before it's over anyway, that even though this is a terrible play, I bet this isn't what decides it, because the Jays have a really good offense, so does Texas, and there were actually 4 more runs scored in the game, and the Jays ended up winning. So it was weird. I don't know that it contributed to the following inning necessarily. Again, it could have potentially rattled the Rangers. I think it certainly got the Jays fans worked up, although not necessarily in a good way. But then Bautista just, hit a pitch that he could handle and won the game for them, and I think that was more than anything what decided it.
Yeah, the meltdown was epic by the Rangers. I mean,
okay, well, I would like to ask the two of you, and this is not really analytical, but did the Rangers lose that game, or did the Blue Jays win the game?
Jonah?
What? Because that's kind of an around the horn kind of question, but I mean, Jonah.
Well, as somebody who is with ESPN and is negotiating a new contract with ESPN and may or may not be interested in eventually joining Around the Horn, I have some thoughts about this, and my thoughts are that I'm going to give you the nuanced answer, which is both. I think that you can make the argument that the Rangers set up that inning by putting all those runners on base, but Jose Bautista was the one who hit that ball 450 feet, and without the home run, even those errors might have only accounted for 1 run. So both of those things contribute.
Jonah, I'm going to say the Rangers lost this game for the simple fact that they made 3 errors in a row, all routine plays. Would you agree with that? All routine plays?
Yeah.
All right, and then
pretty decent. Well, at least at some positions, they're a decent defensive team.
And then what does Dyson do? He feeds Joey Bats, a guy who's got almost 300 career home runs, one of the greatest power hitters in the game. He feeds him a 97-mile-an-hour fastball with a little bit of movement, which is okay, but on the inside half of the plate, thigh high, where Bautista can do something with it. So as far as I'm concerned, the Rangers, they melted down. They lost this game.
Well, he never would have come up in that situation if they had made what I consider to be 4 errors. And people kind of got lost in all the 3 errors, but that play at second base may have been as bad as the other 3 because you got a stumbling second baseman. And what's funny, in the other game, there's almost an exact play like that that is caught. So I mean, that's a play that's got to be made too. So they might have been able to get out of the inning. That's why I would tend to side with Les that we don't have that situation if they don't make those errors because Cole Hamels is still in the game and he's out of the inning.
Yeah, I think that's entirely fair. You can certainly make that argument, and let's put it this way: you credit Bautista, but you also acknowledge that the Rangers really shot.
Yeah, let's advance the story. The Toronto Blue Jays, home run hitting team. They got David Price. They got the Tulowitzki after the trade. Kansas City Royals, a speed team, defense that they scratch out runs,
now,
and you add the other element is the last time they played, Jonah, as you know, they had their own dust up. In regard to, he's a sissy player, talking about Josh Donaldson, that I've lost my respect for Ned Yost. So there's some blood that's kind of still boiling from. They only played 2 series during the season, and I think the Blue Jays won 4 out of 7. But how good is that series going to be? Looks pretty level from my vantage point.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a good series regardless of whether or not there are scuffles. Yordan Ventura was often in the middle of a lot of that stuff, and Yordan Ventura was doing it to other teams too, and after the fact apologized a couple months into the season and said, yeah, I'm probably overdoing it a little bit with the strutting and the throwing at people's heads and whatever, and that's fine. And so that might calm down. We'll see. But, there was no particular bad blood between Toronto or Texas coming into this series. I think it's just one of those things where there's intensity, and every team wants to beat every team really badly, and especially when it goes down to the wire, which, could in the LCS. As you said, I think they're 2 pretty evenly matched teams. We could see that. One thing I'll say about Kansas City, though, I do agree with you on the speed and defense. Those are certainly there. That's true. But they're a much better offensive team than they were last year. Last year, they were actually not a good offensive team at all. And the people that were skeptical of them, that was the biggest reason. It's just the thought was, all right, I mean, are they really going to win every game 1-0? And then in the playoffs, they actually had a bunch of home runs and they were able to do some things. But overall, during the season, they weren't that good. But then this year, Mike Moustakas broke out. Lorenzo Cain broke out. Hosmer had a better season. These 20-something guys all kind of got better this year, such that when you look at this team, it's not like a bunch of, underdogs, they're all 5'9", 140, and they could steal a base on you. They can hit the ball in the ballpark. They also had a Kendrys Morales, that's a good pickup, too. So the Royals have a pretty balanced team overall. I think that the narrative of, they're just kind of doing it by pluck, that was last year. This year they're good, and I think they'll be a formidable match for the Blue Jays. I do think the Blue Jays have the most talent of any team in the American League, and maybe of all the teams left, but it's close enough that you can make a case for either team. And I would also add that oftentimes the most talented team just does not win in the playoffs. Weird things happen.
Jonah, if you don't mind, in 10 seconds, tonight's game, Dodgers and Mets, who you got?
10
it's
seconds?
One game.
That's
it's one game. I don't know. It'll go to 15 innings, and then it'll be decided by a bolt of lightning.
It's Justin Turner's going to win this for the Dodgers.
With his beard. His beard is going to make it happen. The kid.
Yeah. And I wish you luck with Around the Horn. I hope they include you on Around the Horn and put you in Chicago or Dallas or someplace.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Hey, Jonah, give everybody your Twitter handle.
It's at Jonah Keri, Jonah.
Great. And also at Grantland.com, you can read Jonah's stuff. Great stuff. In fact, loved the story a couple of days ago on the Cubs and Cardinals. That was wonderful.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thanks, Jonah.
And Grantland himself, his own self, would be proud of you.
Jonah, we might be calling you again before the end of the World Series, if you don't mind.
I might be at the World Series, but could get a hold of me, and I'll be able to talk to you, sure.
Thanks, Jonah. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, fellas.
All right.
Yeah, that segment brought to you by Aurora Golf, and they talk about it. Fall golf in Colorado. See, you talked about you were going to start this summer.
I know.
You started in the fall when the weather outside is perfect now, 75. Will you agree with me that sometime during this month, you'll go out and play 9 holes.
Yes.
At one of the golf courses in Aurora. And the way you can do it also, and you don't have to be like him being begged to go out and play if you play golf, go to golfaurora.com. It's so simple. I have done it. Before they were sponsor, I have done it. You go on there, you reserve your fall game on one of 6 different courses. Everything from championship courses, common grounds, also
which is near my house, by the way.
Yeah, and they took a rather mundane course that was on the
Lowry Air Force Base. Yeah,
and they turned it into a course where they actually played early rounds of the U.S. Amateur.
And they give a lot of lessons there as well. I was thinking about going over there to take some lessons.
You'd need them. Yeah. All are open to the public at a great value, so go to golfaurora.com.